You've been lied to your whole life, indoctrinated, programmed to live in fear, conditioned to trust the so called experts who shove their propaganda down your throat. They tell you space is endless. Meteoroids are constantly threatening our existence, and we need billion-dollar planetary defense programs to save us. But what if I told you it's all a scam? Not only is it a scam, they mock God's design. They spit in the face of scripture. And Christians, yes, Christians, blindly follow along. NASA's deception isn't just some harmless scientific debate. It's a direct attack on the truth of the Bible. The firmament is real. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the so-called sprites they barely talk about are proof that we're enclosed, just like the scripture said. They don't want you asking questions. They censor, they ridicule, they call it misinformation, but deep down, they know. It's time to wake up, people. It's time to break free from the lies. Stay with me because I'm about to expose the truth that they don't want you to hear. So there are several ways Christians go against the Bible when they subscribe to NASA's ideology. And I know ever since we've been kids, we've been taught about the globe. That's all we know about our reality. And that's one of the biggest tricks of the enemy, indoctrination, putting stuff into your mind when you're too young to question it. But see, luckily for you, it ain't too late and you're old enough now to question it. But the problem is, once we've been indoctrinated with something since we've been children, we don't want to question it. In fact, we want to defend it and reinforce it. And that's the tragedy of indoctrination. But how are some ways that Christians go against the Bible? How are some ways that Christians go against God and participate and believe in blasphemous ideologies about the Creator and the creation? There are some things you are being taught in school by the powers that be, and this represent the enemy, the papacy, the church, the state, all of that stuff. The stuff we're taught by the Board of Education, oftentimes it goes against the Bible and the Christ-like way of living. This world is wicked, and every time we turn around, they're trying to get us to blaspheme God and to be rebellious against righteousness. And when we believe in stuff like at any given moment a meteor can crash into Earth, at any given moment all life can be wiped out by some rock flying through space, the Bible is clear to tell us that the only force that has the power to end the world and all life on it is the God of heaven. And a Christian believing that any other force can match the power of God, well, that's blasphemous. God is a jealous God. When you have someone else giving that same power to anything outside the Creator, now that fear that Christians have for God, they're gonna have it for something else, and God don't want you to be scared of nothing else but God. You should fear nothing but God. When NASA is getting y'all scared of comets and meteors destroying this earth, and you getting all scared and all that, that is blasphemous. The Bible tells us that when this world ends, it's going to be by the one that created it. Think about how blasphemous this is. If you saying the Creator created the whole universe and one of his little rocks that's floating around in his universe destroyed all the beautiful humans he created by mistake. See, don't nothing happen without God's will, according to what we're taught by the Bible. And if some random comet crashes into the earth, that's not a supernatural ending to the earth. God says that he is the Alpha and Omega, beginning and the ending. That means that the supernatural force that started the universe it's going to be the same supernatural force that ends it. And that's a code that all men live by. I was taught that as a young boy. Son, if you start something, finish it. And if you're a man that's listening to this video and you grew up like that, or if you're a woman, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that way. Shout out to my strong women. If you're a woman and you can relate to that, if you start something, you finish it. You don't start something and then let something else come finish it for you. That ain't being mature. You finish what you start. And the God of heaven ain't no different. The God of heaven ain't gonna let something else finish what it started. That ain't even man-like. That's blasphemous to think that you more of a man than the one that created man, and that you got more dignity than the one that created dignity. That's blasphemous. God started it, God gonna end it. And the people that got you scared of something else that's gonna do the work of God, they got you bamboozled. When they go to telling us stuff that's gonna happen to the earth and it ain't God doing it, you know what Christians all around the world ought to do? They ought to bust out laughing. And when the world say, man, why are all you Christians laughing? Why are we scared as hell? The Christians ought to say, our God has not given us a spirit of fear, and we don't believe the propaganda that the world teaching y'all. That's of Satan. We believe in our God, and we won't fear and we won't fret till our God come back. Nothing else what man telling us gonna get us to be in fear. We ain't got no fear for nobody but our God. We don't give man no fear. Man ain't worthy enough to get fear from a saint. If a saint is saying I'm God-fearing, then you can't also be man-fearing. You can't be space-fearing and NASA-fearing and news propaganda-fearing, because God is jealous. God's saying you ain't gonna fear nobody but me. And I'm gonna put my spirit in you, and that's gonna make sure that you ain't scared of nothing else but me. As a Christian, God has not given you the spirit of fear. There's only one authority that warrants your fear, and that's the Creator. Anything else you giving your fear to besides the Creator, you're serving that thing. You're giving it respect. You're giving it your service. Things that we are scared of, we respect those things. And God don't want us respecting the authority of this wicked world. God want Christians to wake up and have a different attitude, but you can't do it if you can't see the indoctrination that got y'all from being warriors right now during this time of Armageddon. You don't see the war that's being waged on the church and on the Bible, which is why Sanchez is standing on y'all's side. I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with my Christian brothers and sisters, and you all may fight me. You may think I'm the enemy with my flat earth teachings. But once your mind wake up and the Most High make that light click inside of your head, you will see that we've been at war with the devil all along, and that the flat earthers are the real light in the world, which is why they're being targeted, which is why they're being ridiculed. These people act like we so dumb and we should be something everybody ignore, and everybody should ignore us, but they can't ignore us. They're spending millions of dollars to silence this small group of idiots. Something ought to strike in y'all head and say, man, why does the wicked world hate flat earthers? You know, there are so many Trump supporters, and shout out to my Trump supporters. I try not to judge people on where they stand, right? But I want to say that you guys got some, I would say it's some good logic behind why you support Trump, but it's still a trap. But your logic behind it is, if the whole world hates Trump, then Trump must be the good guy. And when I think about that kind of logic, I say, you know what? That's smart. I can see the logic behind that. But the people who gave y'all that, they know that you're going to think like that. And so they giving you a person that everybody going against so that the people can get behind them, because we've been giving up hope in this system. So they gave us someone that looked like one of our own, which is Trump. He's just an actor, though. literally, just like Jaron Campanella. The world is a stage, and all of these people at the top are actors. But that is good logic. If the world is evil and the world hate Trump, then Trump must be good. Everybody used that logic with Trump, but they don't use it with flat earthers. And I don't understand that. If the world is wicked, if all these people in the world, these news stations, these politicians, a lot of these rich physicists and stuff like that, if all of them hate flat earthers, why don't the world say, man, flat earthers must be doing something to make these people mad? And if you making these people mad and these people are a bunch of liars, maybe you telling the truth. Liars hate truth tellers. And if you want to piss off the people in power the most, remember, they're the biggest liars. They wage war against the truthers, man. So if you want to know who telling the truth in this world, go look at who the powers that be going to war with, who they silencing, who they trying to silence. Because when it comes to this flat earth and globe earth debate, it's not a fair one. Why would they go out their way to silence us and censor us to the point where when you look up flat earth content, you can't find it? If they thought what we were saying was so dumb and ignorant, they would make sure people find it, because that'll be free hit pieces. They got to pay millions of dollars and get puppets, double agents among us, to do hit pieces, because they can't organically find a hit piece in the flat earth community. They can't really find any flat earthers that ain't making no sense that's one of ours, that's grassroots. They got to put them in our community as implants and then put the camera in front of them people and make them people embarrass themselves. But when they come into the grassroots community, they know if they was to put that on the mainstream, people will be like, yo, these people making sense, man. They know we make a lot of sense. That's why when people search for us on social media, we've been censored. All of our content is buried. But when they search for us, all they find is hit pieces. If we were so dumb and stupid, why would they do that? They're censoring the true flat earthers. And when you search for flat earth, you get hit pieces. You get the actors and you get the ops. And the actors and the ops are working together. And if we were so stupid and idiotic, you would just let people find us. And people would be like, oh man, these people are crazy and stupid. This is crazy. But they know when people were searching for flat earth, people was converting. People was converting to flat earth by big numbers. That's a threat to them. When they allowed people to just search flat earth and find it, people was turning over and becoming flat earthers because people got common sense. They thought they can ridicule us and people would find our videos and get in on the mockery. But a lot of those people were becoming flat earthers. And they said, you know what? We just got to hide these people because they're converting our sheeple. We got to hide them. They're a threat. They got the message that can undo our indoctrination. And so they knew this ain't just nothing we can push over. We got to silence these people and start attacking them. And when the world see that, they ought to ask questions about these people, especially the church. Because most flat earthers are defending your Bible. The Bible teach about a flat earth, and that's what we're here for right now, to talk about why Christians are going against the Bible. And I just gave you an example because the cosmology NASA give y'all is full of all kind of threats that can destroy all life on Earth, and ain't none of that stuff the creator. And it got people scared, paying tax dollars. Let's say space is fake. Flat earthers are right. And I'm about to prove it today that we are enclosed by a firmament dome that's protecting us. There is no way possible any asteroids or meteoroids can come from space and wipe out Earth or none of that blasphemous lies. And all of the images you got of that are just CGI cartoons, and they should have real images of these micro meteoroids and big meteoroids whirling through space all the time. Every time astronauts are so-called in space working on equipment and all that, we never see rocks or micro meteoroids whipping by and zooming by. And they say that it's so many of these things in space. They said that space is filled with countless micro meteoroids. And these meteoroids that's in space can range from the size of a human hair, grains of sand. They can be the size of a marble. They can go all the way up to sizes from baseballs to small boulders, all the way up to sizes the size of cars, houses, and even all the way up to the size of large mountains and buildings. It's a very diverse range when it comes to size when we dealing with meteoroids, all the way from micro meteoroids to macro meteoroids, if you will. And according to what they teach, space is filled with these things, but we never see them. Just like they said space is filled with stars, but when they get up there, we can't see them. When they get up there, we can't see these meteoroids that should be everywhere. They should be whipping all in front of the camera, man, according to what they say. We never had an incident of a meteoroid cracking an astronaut helmet, damaging any equipment. We got telescopes and equipment that's exploring the Milky Way right now that's been out there for decades, and they never got to clean the lens, change the lens. No meteoroids damaging this stuff. And the images that we get from these things are always crystal clear. You can barely get images that clear from Earth, and space is supposed to be that harsh. We can never get clear images of UFOs and UAPs that's right up there in our own atmosphere. We always get these grainy images and just blurred monstrosities, but yet we can get crystal clear images of galaxies that's light years away, other planets, the sun, and all of this stuff that's in space. But we can't get one clear image of a UFO that's right there in our atmosphere on Earth. Interesting. It explains why everything is CGI. Nothing is up there. I'm gonna prove that we are enclosed like the Bible say, and that's gonna debunk space. You believing in space is blasphemous to do, because it's to mock the Creator. It's to say that the Creator built the creation that's unstable. There's one scripture in the Bible that people can interpret to say that a comet or an asteroid can end life on Earth, and that's the wormwood scripture in Revelation. It says that a star fell to the ground, landed in the rivers, and poisoned the water. So it does not say what NASA say. NASA say that when the thing lands, the impact gonna be so hard that it's gonna be this big mushroom cloud, a ice age. It's a whole theory they got on it. But what the Bible say is just gonna poison the water. And even if you look up the word wormwood is a synonym for the word vermouth. And wormwood or vermouth is a type of herb that they use to make absinthe with. Wormwood or vermouth is a herb that they use to flavor absinthe with. So that's still different than what NASA say. And this really is a dagger right here, right? Let's say that the scripture in Revelation is true, and it's talking about a comet crashing into Earth, and that God saying in the end of days, God himself is gonna send a comet to the Earth to wipe out life. Let's go with that scenario. Let's say that's what the Bible's saying is prophecy, and that's the will of God. If that's true, you going against God when you try to help NASA to stop it. If your God is saying, hey, In the end of days, I'm sending a comet to the earth, and I'm gonna wipe out a lot of the life on the earth. This is God's will. This is part of prophecy. And NASA say, well, we gonna stop that. They fighting against God, and they got the symbol of the serpent. Who team you on? See, that's another thing why you can't nobody make an excuse on why you going with the devil. Any excuse you trying to make, I'm already dotting my I's, crossing my T's, I'm blowing that out the water. So if you say, Sanchez, the Bible is right, it is a comet coming, then you shouldn't be trying to stop it. That's your God's will. You should be rejoicing when you see the comet coming. And you should say, hey man, that's my God coming back. Them trumpets about to blow, baby. Hallelujah. And you shouldn't be saying, man, but people gonna die. How you gonna get to heaven if you don't die, silly? Everybody wanna go to heaven but don't wanna die. Even when it's your Lord coming back to get you. I thought you said this world was so bad and heaven is your real home, Christians. But when it's time to pack up and go to heaven, you wanna stay. And see, that's why the Bible know y'all ain't serious and why most of Christians gonna fall with this great apostasy. So either way you try to cut it, it's anti-biblical. When you go with them, it's going against the Bible. Either way you try to cut it. And not to mention, not only is it anti-biblical, if you're a Christian and you're saying, hey, that's what Revelation's saying, Sanchez, well, guess what? You shouldn't be trying to stop the will of God. And if that's what NASA trying to do, then that's why they wearing the symbol of the serpent, because they going against God. You shouldn't be on their team. Not only is it anti-biblical, anti-Christian to do that, here's another kicker that should really hit home. Guess how much we pay into programs to prevent comets and all that from crashing into the earth? These programs are called planetary defense programs. The money for these programs come out of your tax dollars. So let's go ahead and add up the money, right? It's 5 programs. One is called NEO, the Near Earth Object Observation Program. And that's when NASA is supposedly to be tracking and monitoring asteroids and stuff. Now, they tracking and monitoring all these asteroids, but we can't even see stars in space. So how we can see that? How we never see them when they working on the ISS and all that? So they got NEO, they got PDOC, Planetary Defense Coordination Office. They got the DART program, which is the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. They got the Space-Based Infrared Sensors. Then they got the International Collaboration Program. They got 5 programs that they're taxing you for just because you believe in space and that there are dangers that this proposed to the earth. But in a minute, I'm going to show you space ain't real and that once again, the Bible is correct when it speaks about us being protected by a firmament dome. This is crazy because in the fiscal year of 2023, the planetary defense budget was approximately $138 million. And that was just a decrease from $166 million that they had the previous year. The Near Earth Object Surveyor mission in 2023 brought in $90 million just by itself. The fiscal year 2025 request for NASA's planetary defense budget is $252 million to continue the development of the NEO Surveyor mission. And this NEO Surveyor mission is targeting a launch in 2028. And all y'all get is CGI images for receipts and proof. And we're paying almost $1 billion into this stuff. Add all that up, y'all. And this right here is just for the fiscal year. So your fears and your beliefs are very expensive. These ain't no cheap beliefs. We paying a lot into this stuff. And if they're lying, then just look at how much money we paying into this stuff that can be going to batter our children and stuff. And they just telling you, well, we up here monitoring asteroids and they can make doggone near $1 billion. And I'm about to prove to you that space is fake, not only in this video, but in a series of videos coming up after this. But right now, I'm going to definitely prove to you that for you to accept what NASA giving to you, you got to go against the Bible. And you got to pay into this lie with a lot of tax dollars. It's just free money. It's a cash cow based upon your fear. The only real thing is your belief in this stuff and the money that they get from your belief. It's just a religion. It ought to raise a red flag with Christians when they realize that NASA in Hebrew means deceive, and that the symbol of NASA is the symbol of Satan, the serpent, the liar, the deceiver. That alone ought to make Christians say, you know what? I'm going to prove all things. I can't trust what these people saying just by my Bible telling me to watch them who bear the mark of the serpent and of the Antichrist. Just from y'all mark alone that represents y'all company should be enough for Christians say, yeah, we're going to have to really scrutinize what they telling us and make sure that it aligns with our Bible. Because any agency that wears the symbol of Satan, they may be going against the Bible. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I just gave you one reason how. Let's move on and show you some more things that are anti-biblical that Christians have to adopt when they adopt the ideology of those that bear the symbol of the serpent to represent them. The Bible goes out of its way to demonstrate God's power and craftsmanship. How does it do it? Because God is the creator. And for a creator to demonstrate its power and craftsmanship, it does that through its creation, through the stability of its design and all of that, just like in architecture. So there are verses that illustrate the ancient understanding of the firmament as a barrier, often interpreted as a dome. In Egypt, it is represented as the sky goddess Nut. And the Hebrews taught that it was 7 of these firmaments. Another word for firmament is a heaven. So it was taught that it was 7 heavens or 7 firmament domes. And in Egyptian culture, it would have been the 7 netters. This is like a layering system. We are multidimensional beings with 7 different layers to ourselves. And each layer is occupying its own netter. And the ancestors said that these other alternative realities in these other layers of our reality was where the consciousness go when it dreams. So the dream worlds represent our other realities that we're simultaneously living out with this one. And back in the ancient day, the whole concept of prayer was to have a premonition. If you look up the etymology of the word, pray was the root word of premonition. And people would go into meditation and have out-of-body experience to see the past, present, and future. And that's why our ancestors were so prophetic. We lost this knowledge of how to harness our deja vu ability. The church took so much from us. Jesus said, ye are gods, but now we've became servants and consumers. They've taken away our spiritual gifts that made us in the image of God. But the firmament dome was literally there like to demonstrate God's protecting aspect, like the roof on a house. So this was very important in all cultures, and including the Quran. And you have several Bible scriptures in Psalm 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Genesis 1:6-8. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Job 37:18. Hast thou spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass. Now, the Bible wasn't talking about physical glass. It was using words to try to describe the transparency of the firmament and that it was see-through, basically. But these are just a bunch of scriptures that demonstrate God's power and craftsmanship via the magnificent design of its creator. In the Quran, there are several verses that describe the heavens and the sky in a manner that refers to a protective structure or dome, and several scriptures that mention the heavens being a form of protection for the earth. In Surah Al-Baqarah 2 and 22, who made for you the earth a bed and the sky a canopy, and sent down from the sky rain and brought forth thereby fruits as provision for you. So this talk about the sky being a canopy, and this is what a canopy looks like, people. And you can compare this to other ancient cosmologies that are in alignment with this same cosmology. We can't get amnesia and act like this isn't the most consistent view of our reality on Earth. The new globe concept that everybody got, that's a new concept that just came. You don't have to agree with flat Earth, but you do have to agree that all of the early humans and ancestors on the Earth subscribe to flat Earth. It's not something new. It is the oldest viewpoint of Earth in existence. You guys have the New Age papacy ideologies, New Age doomsday doctrines and aliens and all of that Christians are entertaining today. In Surah Al-Anbiya 21 and 32, it says, and we made the sky a protected ceiling, but they from its signs are turning away. And what the Quran is saying right here is that the sky is a protected ceiling, and everything about our reality, if you would use your mind and prove all things and quit being indoctrinated, going with what you've been told, and do your own research, everything about this reality says that we are enclosed in some sort of enclosed system. That's why the Quran said the sky is a protective ceiling, but they, from its signs, are turning away. What is the Quran saying? The Quran is saying, how can you look around you and not know that you're in some sort of enclosed environment? And we're gonna turn away from all of the signs around us that testify to a firmament dome. And when we do that, when we turn away from that, now we fall victim of the NASA deception of space, doomsday, fear-mongering, and that we're not protected by the Creator, which is blasphemous. The Creator ain't dumb enough to build an earth with no way to protect you or to put you inside of a reality that will also have so many flaws to it. The very life that the Creator created to dwell on earth will be in danger all the time because the Creator didn't create it right. The Creator created it in a way where a rock can just fall onto the earth and wipe y'all out at any moment. That's a clumsy, dumb Creator. The Creator ain't smart enough to put you in a stable, founded, a place that's enclosed like your house. That's saying that man is smarter than the Creator. Man's smart enough to lay a foundation, put a roof over the house and all that. But the Creator's so dumb that the Creator don't know about a foundation, how to protect its creation with a roof. You would then start to worship man over the Creator subconsciously, and that's what the church doing. That's the great apostasy. Now, a lot of y'all might be saying, Sanchez, what do you mean by there are so many signs around us to let us know that we're in an enclosed environment? How can we scientifically prove the firmament dome like the Quran just said? How can we do that with science? How can we prove that we are in an enclosed environment? So here's a conception of how the ancient Hebrews describe the earth and the cosmos, that we're in like this sort of a plasma ball, and that it's halfway filled, and that at the middle of this plasma ball, there's some sort of accumulation of plasma phenomena that we call the northern lights. And eventually all of this climaxes into what we call the North Pole, which was to the ancestors, it would have been like the middle of a plasma ball. When you look at a plasma ball, all of the plasma phenomena is coming from the middle of the ball. This is the same concept they give us with the Big Bang theory of how the entire universe is basically an explosion of light. Light is plasma, and that this expansion of light expanded from a singular source. And they don't want to tell you what caused the Big Bang because they don't want to let everyone know that the universe is intelligently designed. There is no such thing as space. All of the other planets and stars and all that is within the firmament dome. It's nothing out there. And that's going to lead to in a minute when I go into why we can't see stars from space, because it's all inside of the firmament. But to stay on track, our entire universe is like a plasma ball, and the earth is one big circle that's splitting the universe, that's in the middle of the universe, just like all of the ancients described. You can see they all resemble a plasma ball and an enclosed system where all of the light phenomena and plasma phenomena is a result of gases being enclosed, just like neon lights in Las Vegas. But we finna get into the science of that in a minute. So how can we prove that we are in a plasma ball-like system? We can prove it by studying plasma phenomena. So one of the most mysterious types of plasma events on Earth is Sprites. And Sprites is a dead giveaway that we live in an enclosed system that's very similar to a plasma ball. Now, these quote-unquote red sprites, as they call them, is the result of a concoction of certain gases under pressure. And that's the exact same science behind a plasma ball. The pressure is created by the enclosure itself. The gases can't go anywhere. They're being trapped into a confined space because there are invisible layers in the atmosphere that separate certain gases on certain levels. And just like the star in a jar experiment, it requires an enclosure so that you can put the gases under enough pressure to create the light. This is the simple foundation of sonoluminescence. We can't have sprites in the sky if we're not enclosed. And the science behind how these sprites are formed is the same science behind how the tentacles in a plasma ball is formed. I call them tentacles, but the correct name is plasma filaments. And what they are streams of ionized gas that appear as visible tendrils of light within the ball, and they're created by the interaction of the electric field with the gas molecules inside. And you can't have none of this if the gases were just allowed to escape off into space. In order for this concoction to take place and for the right amount of pressure to be achieved, you need an enclosed system. So the filaments in a plasma ball is showing us what sprites are on Earth. And people, I'm giving you real science that's based upon what we observe in our reality. The exact same science behind sprites is the exact same science behind plasma ball filaments. Exactly the same. So a person may be saying, still, how does that prove we're enclosed? Because just because you showing us that sprites may be the same thing as plasma ball filaments, which they are, how does that prove we're enclosed? Well, if you look at a plasma ball, you cannot have plasma filaments without the glass, without the enclosure. That's why they sell this ball with a glass. If you remove that glass, it won't even be able to work. And here goes some videos to prove my point right here. Let's watch them.
This is my plasma ball. It was $12 from thinkgeek.com. I was wondering what it would be like without the glass. So today I will break the glass and turn it on to see. Okay, I'm going to break it now. Ready, set, go. Nothing's happening.
So does that prove that it needs the glass around it, that it needs the airtightness or something?
So what can we learn about this video? That a plasma ball can't work without the glass enclosure, because that's what traps the gas inside, and it allows for the pressure to build up. It also allows for the right gases to mix with each other to even make this plasma ball phenomena possible. But this shows you the science of how gases can become light. Just like I said, neon lights in Vegas. If the gases are able to escape the tube, then there go your lighting. Without the enclosure, you cannot have the light. So again, these sprites that we see in the sky, if it wasn't for the firmament dome, they wouldn't even exist. Just like the plasma ball filaments. They don't exist when you remove the enclosure. Let's watch another video to prove my point.
Whew. Okay, this is where I start getting a little bit nervous, guys. But we're gonna do it. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness! Holy heck, I could not have predicted that. And look here, the electricity doesn't appear to actually be shooting anymore. I'm not sure if it turned off.
And another thing we can learn about these videos is that globalists do not know this science because they've been miseducating us about the earth. I just played 2 videos, and these are from channels that believe in a globe earth. And people who believe in a globe earth, they don't know what happens if you break a plasma ball. But every flat earther knows what'll happen if they really study this stuff. Don't y'all find it crazy that the people who argue with us about the shape of the earth, what the sky is, what the stars is, they don't know what happens if you break a plasma ball. Now just think about that. These globe earthers don't even know what'll happen if you break the glass on a plasma ball. But flat earthers are telling y'all that the earth is a big plasma ball, and without the firmament dome, you can't have sprites. I could have told that globalist before he even bought that plasma ball and broke it, hey man, when you break the glass, it ain't gonna illuminate no more. When you break the glass, it's not gonna work no more. And how you know that? Because the earth is a big plasma ball. I study the wisdom of the Hebrews. It's crazy that the Christians would come out to me when I'm just standing on what the Bible say, that the firmament dome declares God's handiwork. I'm proving the Bible correct. Even if the scientists of the world say that the Bible is wrong and that the ancient people didn't know what they was talking about, or the Bible ain't a book of science, that's blasphemy. When you say the Bible ain't a book of science, that leave the creation story in the hands of scientists. And now a Christian gotta decide, whose creation story am I gonna go with? The scientist that's giving me a creation without a creator? Or the Bible that's giving me science and a creator behind the science. Because what they've done, they've convinced the world that God is a magician and that God just abracadabraed the universe into existence. God is a scientist, not a magician. I'm gonna repeat that. God is a scientist, not a magician. And when we realize that, there will be no separation between religion and science, because the Bible is giving you a lot of science and the Quran is too. So one thing that you will see with these red sprites is up under these red sprites are what's called blue jets. In a nutshell, what they teaching you is that when lightning gets so intense and the pressure is so high, then from these blue jets, you can form a red sprite. The base of most of these red sprites are gigantic blue jets. Another way you can look at how the blue jet forms the red sprite is to simply strike a lighter. And if you look at the lighter flame, you will see that the red fire is on top of the blue jet. The base of the fire of the flame from your lighter is blue. And then the top part of that is the red part. This is the same thing that we get in the atmosphere. The blue jet at the bottom with the red sprite on top. But this concept of the blue jet and the red sprite, we can see that in the plasma ball. The exact same colors, the exact same science behind it, the exact same everything. If you ever want to talk about science and reduplicating something that's happening in your reality, which is what science is about, everything we see in the sky is based upon plasma events and phenomena. And when it comes to the question, is the earth enclosed? Then I'm answering it right now, because one plasma phenomena in the sky that we call red sprites will not be possible if the earth wasn't enclosed like a plasma ball. And I just showed you videos that without the enclosure, you can't have sprites. So we got to be enclosed. Now, it is silly for globe earthers to argue with me on this one. You know why? All of the viral videos about plasma balls are a bunch of globe earthers breaking their plasma balls because they don't know what's going to happen. The video I just played for y'all of the white guy breaking the big plasma ball, he has a science channel with over 12 million subs to it. And he said he never knew what was going to happen if you break a plasma ball. Now, that's funny. These big science channels laugh at flat earthers, but they don't know what'll happen if you break the glass on your plasma ball. They don't know that the plasma ball is based upon the same science as the earth. Just think about that. You got a bunch of globe earthers that are breaking plasma balls because they don't know what's going to happen if you do it. Let's see what'll happen. And I can tell them what's going to happen before they do that, because I understand that the sky, the firmament dome, is based upon the same science of a plasma ball. So something else that they teach us that goes against the Bible. They teach us that the stars and all of the lights we see in the sky are solid rocks floating in space. But the Bible don't say that. The Bible say that they are lights. It specifically used the word lights in the sky, and the Bible don't refer to the stars and all of that as solid objects. Again, this goes into why we can't see stars from space. So let's talk about that. The Bible say that the stars are inside of the firmament dome and that they ain't solid. If the stars were solid objects in space, when we leave the earth and start heading towards space, then you would think that the stars would get brighter and brighter and bigger as we travel to them. How is it when we leave off of the earth and reach a certain level in the atmosphere, it ain't even nothing out there? It's total blackness. This backs up what the Bible's saying, that it ain't no space and it ain't no stars far away in space. And that the stars, the sun, the moon, and all of that is right up there within the firmament dome in the atmosphere where we see it at. And to prove that the Bible is correct, here go video footage right now of pilots flying above the sun. Here go the Hebrew cosmos that's showing you where the sun is located according to the Hebrews on the same altitude as the clouds inside of the firmament dome. Now, how do we experience reality? Do we experience reality the way that NASA say or the way that the Bible say? Christians, you got to make a choice, and you can't worry about being laughed at, because that's going to make you like Judas. You caring about what the world think. You should be caring about what the Most High think. You're a soldier. You didn't come here to fit in with no world anyway. You came here to stand out. The Bible say the stars are within the firmament and that they ain't solid. They're plasma phenomena. There's a scientist by the name of Professor Foster who was around in his 60s telling everybody you can't land on the moon. Why do you think Bart Sabrell keep telling y'all we fake the moon landings? You can't land on the moon, y'all, because the moon ain't solid. All of the lights we see in the sky are lights. They're simply lights. That's why when they try to travel to them, it's pitch blackness out there. It ain't nothing out there. It's all in here. And this scientist, Professor Foster, was trying to tell them in this interview in the 60s that it's baloney to think that you can land on the moon because it ain't solid. It's a plasma.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and that we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, a cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less, than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only a thousandth part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course, but by now the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risk anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature of what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen, not on the moon.
So how can we prove that Professor Foster and the Bible are correct and NASA are deceivers, just like the meaning of their name? Well, we can tell the moon ain't solid because check this out. We can see the blue sky through the moon during the daytime, and we can see the black sky through the moon during the nighttime. Objects that we see in the sky are not solid. Here go video footage of the planet Venus, zooming in on the planet Venus, and you can see that the planet Venus ain't a solid object. It's a holographic refracted reflection. The truth is that All of the stars and stuff we see in the sky are just all refracted reflections from a source light. Nothing we see in the sky is the true version of itself. It's a projection of a source light. Here go another video that proves that the moon ain't solid. In this video, a guy points out the fact that you can see stars through the moon when they should be obstructed by the moon if it's indeed solid.
Hi, Blue Fox here. On September 27th, 2015, I took pictures of the eclipse of the moon. I set up my 5-inch telescope using a 17mm eyepiece and took these snapshots. You will notice in the pictures, stars show through the dark portions of the moon. And as I go through them, I'll blow them up a little larger so you can see these stars. I'll point to one. There's a blue star here, a white star. There's another star right here that shows up quite good. And that's that picture. Move on to the next one. You can actually see the stars here. So we'll zoom in and we'll see a red star with a white star right in here. And then there's 3 stars, a white star, a blue star, and another blue star. And there's a white star pretty much over here. Okay, now this one here you can see the stars. 1, 2, that's pretty bright. Now zoom in on it. Now there's a red star, white star, showing through the moon, white star, and then blue star again, with another star over here.
I didn't want to make this video over an hour, so I'm going to end it right here. But I just want to say, definitely stay tuned for part 2, because part 2 to this is on the way. This is part of a series. You need to follow this playlist to this series. The link is in the video description. I'll also pin it in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me preaching and ranting, and also going into a couple of observations, experiments to back up what the Bible says. Make sure you sub to the channel. Make sure you like the video, share the video. Make sure you guys get in the comment section and let's talk about the video. I also want to let you know before we get out of here, if you like to support this channel, you can become a member. I want to take the time and ask that if you follow this channel and you appreciate the work that we do, we cannot do it without your support. And one way you can support us is by becoming a member of this channel. And with your channel membership, you will be able to access perks like members only chat room, members only live streams, members first content, and so much more. Thank you so much in advance for becoming a member of this channel. Well, with that being said, see y'all next time. Peace and much love.